Hello everybody, welcome to Optimize Your Body. Thank you for tuning in. Pleased to say I have my buddy back in the mix, Andrew Bond, over in New York. How you doing, man? You good?
I'm good, mate. Bright and early here in New York. So happy Valentine's Day as well to you and all the listeners.
Thanks a lot, mate. Happy Valentine's Day to you and your wifey, mate. You got anything planned, buddy?
Nothing planned really, mate. No, we've decided to just relax. I think she's cooking food for me tonight because I'm getting home from work a little late, so I'm being treated to a nice dinner.
You can't go wrong, mate. You've got a winner there. You've got a winner.
Yeah, mate.
Hey, listen, mate. How are you feeling after Africa, man? I heard your poo was a bit dodgy, wasn't it? You had you done a poo sample. It was a bit on the smelly side, wasn't it? Apparently.
It's been I've been having the runs for about 2 weeks. Thanks for bringing that one up. Suddenly getting my energy back up this week, mate. But I've had to. I don't know if you've ever given stool samples to the doctor, but it's not the most pleasant thing you have to do. I'm not going to go into detail, but it's a bit painful, mate. It's not very nice to do. So I hope the listeners out there don't have to do that in their lifetime.
Exactly, and I hope not that they're not tucking into a nice meal right now as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed, mate.
How was what was going to say? So you said one sample was okay. Not to go too much into the shit samples, but you said one was a bit dodgy. You okay now? All good? Or you all clear?
I'm good now, mate. My energy's back up, and my stool is back to normal. So I'm a happy man. I was just struggling for probably the last week in Africa. I thought I was getting away with it.
Yeah.
Everyone else was getting sick. I thought my stomach's strong. And then suddenly one morning it hit me, and then it's been the same probably for about 2 weeks. So I don't know if it was the food there or the water, but something got me, maybe a little parasite, and knocked me for 6.
Okay, so everyone was kind of coming down then, were they?
Yeah, just pains in the stomach, you know. Generally, people who ate pretty well at home, they got sick. Those who didn't, who kind of had a varied diet and probably ate. This is funny, actually. They probably ate more processed foods. Mm-hmm. Didn't come down with a sickness or bug, which was
really,
you know, yeah.
Wow, and all this preaching we're doing, mate, about eating healthy foods, and look at us now.
I know, mate, we're falling apart. So.
I know. Maybe we'll do an episode on how good shitty foods are for you then, yeah?
Well, this is today, really, right? IIFYM, so...
Exactly. That's exactly it, mate. It's appropriate. No, just quickly tell the listeners a little bit more about your trip, mate, to Africa, because it's very inspirational. You went out there, and you've done some good deeds. Give us a quick heads up, mate.
I was working for a non-profit organisation called Global Youth Fit. It's the first time they've ever been to Africa, so we went to West Africa, which was Ghana, Accra, which is the capital city. We ended up working in the Harlem International School, so we were working with children age ranging from probably around 12 to 19, and we were teaching them all aspects of like health, fitness, nutrition. Mm-hmm. Basically, they haven't really got a core element of physical education over there. Their idea of physical education is just kind of throw them a football, play football, run around the field. That's it. So our thought process was to do more structured sessions with them, like working on different skills. So strength, upper body strength, lower body strength, plyometrics, how to land properly, speed, agility, quickness, so they could then transfer that into sport or kind of daily life. Mm. So we ended up doing it for 2 weeks. The last day, then we ended up doing kind of a routine together. We ended up on the national news in Ghana. Wow. And some websites as well, which was fun and good experience. But I think they're going to try and transfer that into like a yearly thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know whether I'll do it again, or maybe you might like to go, or
yeah, mate, I'd 100% be keen. If you, I'd be happy to volunteer for that. I was looking at your Instagram story, and a lot of the stuff you were doing with them was quite technical, wasn't it? It was quite good to see the young ones, getting involved with all that kind of stuff.
It was good. We kind of expected them to be a little bit more athletic for them out there, but we kind of established that there's different ranges of abilities there as well as there are in the US or the UK. So I guess next time we'd probably start a little slower. Mm-hmm. We run through the program a little bit, so that's kind of feedback we can take back and learn from that. So if we do go again, it's going to be a slower process, like teaching them the basics first, and then take from there. Because with the different levels of the abilities and the size of the groups we had, it was difficult to kind of individualize the students. So
I bet. I was going to ask you how you're going with your no coffee thing as well, mate. How are you cracking on with that, with the zero caffeine? You still on that, or you just suck back in?
Yeah, I did it for a month, mate, and I'm back on it now. So I'm finding that again, I'm doing it wrong. So I did it for a month, felt great as I did before, and I think it was the last day in Ghana I had a coffee.
Yeah.
And on, I've just been back on it. The trouble is, when I start again, I end up going back into my old modes, my old habits. Right? I start drinking 2-3 cups a day when really I only.
It's a drug again, isn't it? It's a drug. So you just straight away, like, isn't it? It's a stimulant, and then you're chasing it again. Then, aren't you? You're chasing that buzz. So you went straight back up to 2 or 3.
I just like the taste of it, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Same. Yeah, I like the kick, mate, more than anything.
Yeah.
Because I was going to. My plan is to quit it now in a week or two when Mum goes back home from here. My plan is to knock it on the head. But what I want to do is cycle it. So like 3 weeks on and 3 weeks off, just like anything else, you know. We're training and stuff, just cycling it and getting the best benefits from it. Then, you know. Yeah. Rather than just going, cutting out altogether. Anyway, moving on. Just wanted to break it down for the listeners today. We're going to be talking about 2 topics, but primarily we're going to be talking about if it fixed your macros, okay, IIFYM. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it is essentially, it's called flexible dieting, and you, in a sense, you eat what you want, but you hit your numbers. So it's all based on hitting the right amount of calories, or whatever calories you think you need for whatever your goal may be, and the macronutrients, obviously breaking down the protein, the fat and the carbs, and hitting certain figures on a daily basis. Now, there's pros and cons to doing this. Andrew and I don't fully agree with it. We have our own way of doing things in terms of just focusing on eating whole foods and looking after our bodies and putting the right foods in. Now, I don't actually track my calories anymore. I'm now at a point where I'm eating intuitively, because finally I'm actually in tune with the signals, with the signals that in terms of what foods I need, and it's a great place to be because I'm staying in shape, actually in really good shape right now. I feel good, I feel healthy. I still get gut issues occasionally, but I'm working on that. Going to have a food tolerance test next week and see what's going on there. But generally, since I stopped tracking, it's just much better. I didn't really ever plan to be tracking everything that goes into my mouth for the rest of my life. It's not something I wanted to do forever anyway. What about yourself, Drew? Are you still tracking your calories, or?
I have been, yeah, but I'm eating more intuitively, so I'm not like sticking to the figures as I used to. But I still tend to track only because I'm trying to stay as lean as possible at the moment, because I'm obviously been signed to a decent modeling agency, so my concept has changed a little bit. So I'm just trying to stay lean and stay in control of my diet. That's the only reason I'm tracking at the moment. But I am moving more towards the intuitive eating like you are. So I'm not like sticking to a specific macro type. So I'm not going like, say, 200 grams of carbs a day or 150 grams of fat. I'm just listening to my body, find out what it needs in terms of training. If I'm training, I might have more carbohydrates than on a non-training day. I would tend to keep my protein and my fiber intake pretty much the same. Other than that, it varies, So.
And I was going to say to the listeners, because there's going to be some listeners out there who are like kind of a novice level, if you like, in terms of they're new to training, new to the whole nutrition thing. And Andrew and I can help you out. I've just taken on a few online clients now, and I was going to get Andrew involved as well, just to help people out. But in case they're wondering, I don't even know what calories I need. I don't know how much protein I don't know what kind of fats I need and all this kind of stuff. We're going to break it down for you a bit now in terms of you should really be focusing on nutrients. I wouldn't really even delve too deep into what calories you're hitting if you don't really know what you're doing. I would just say to try and focus on eating foods, like I've said time and time again. Focus on eating whole foods. Try and get plenty of vegetables in, and eat, if you're going to eat meat and fish and eggs like Andrew and I do, because the nutrient dense food. So you're going to be missing out on a lot of nutrients if you cut meat out, providing you haven't got an allergy, or if you're doing it for any kind of if you're a vegetarian for any kind of moral reasons, then fair enough. But just having that balance of good foods, I think, is the most important thing. What's your thoughts, Andy? Because obviously with the IIFYM crowd, they're very much focused on calories. Yeah, so when you type in the hashtag, for example, IIFYM on Instagram, what I found is you'll get like a list of shitty foods popping up. Don't get me wrong, you're going to get the odd healthy dish on there. But what the message conveys is, you know, a lot of people are just trying to, not a lot of us, sorry, because I'm not kind of, I don't really eat that way, but I have been there. But people try and fit shitty foods into their calories. So they're just replacing one eating disorder. You know, they might have come from restrictive eating, like myself and Andrew did before. You know, we were cutting back on calories and stuff, and trying to get in shape for different shoots and competitions and whatnot. And most of the time, that does create an unhealthy relationship with food, and that's what a lot of these IIFYM tribal people are doing. They are going over to counting the numbers, making sure they hit their calories, but then fitting in a load of shit food into their daily macros and thinking they're being healthy by doing it, you know? So it's giving off the wrong message, because there are a lot of people out there who are really struggling, you know? There's an obesity epidemic. People are out there, they're looking at these people who are shredded or whatever, and then they'll click on their page, and, you know, all they're seeing is like pizzas, burgers, Pop-Tarts and whatnot, maybe the odd healthy meal, but I just don't think it's giving off the right message to people who are, you know, it is a good starting point, but I don't think it's giving off the right message all in all. What are your thoughts on that? And have you had any experiences with people or anything like that?
Yeah, you know, like as a beginner, you know, as you said, it can kind of educate you on calorie balance and understanding the concept of what type of calories are in food. But you got to look at your long-term health, right? It's far more significant than understanding how many calories you eat. Calories do matter to a certain extent, as we know and we understand. But they have different effects on how we feel, right? So, on how your hormones are affected. Certain foods keep you satiated. You know, if you're going for junk food, then you feel like you can eat it never ending. You sat there with a bag of crisps or chips, or something sweet, and it's an endless supply, right? Rather than just eating something that's going to satiate you, which may be a good amount of protein, some healthy fats, something that's going to fill you up and stop you over-consuming. Now, there's other people that it may be good for. If it fits your macros as a starting point, again, maybe those who have a history of yo-yo dieting and extreme approaches, it could be an appropriate place to start, only because it can show you that you can have some cake here and there and it won't affect you. And again, maybe if you're young, I don't know if you remember when you were a teenager or you were in your 20s, right? You were probably drinking, partying, eating junk food. So you're already doing this. So it may change your mind. You know, so you could take that approach initially and then educate yourself further. The opposite may be the case for someone who's older, who needs a more rigid approach and needs more nutrients in the body. But definitely as a beginner, it can be a starting point. But for health long term, for me, it's probably not the way to go. As you say, you see people on Instagram, I think they're promoting the wrong things. They're promoting eating junk food at night, pizzas, I don't know, these dishes they're making with ice cream, yogurt, chocolate, and things like that.
Exactly.
Not promote the right message. And I think they're lean and ripped, as a lot of Instagram people are. Those who are looking in are reflecting on this and thinking they can do the same, but they can't get away with it, you know?
That's right. And the thing is, what you got to remember, folks, is Andrew and I, you know, we have been there when it comes to having a really unhealthy relationship with food, binge eating. You know, for a pretty long period, I was, you know, for a good year or so, I was binge eating. You know, just had a really, really bad relationship with food. And when I look back, you know, essentially I was chasing processed foods, sugars, and I was just restricting my food, and then going all out and just essentially doing a number on myself, really, and just really kind of making myself feel horrible as well, because you would actually get like a downer afterwards. Because, can you hear me okay, bro? Yeah, all good. I would actually have like a downer afterwards, and I would feel really low, and psychologically it just kind of destroyed me, because it was a real battle. And Andrew and I have both been there, so we both know that. What I'd like to say is I'd like to see a lot of these people, let's say 10 years from now, because it's really not sustainable. If someone is shredded and lean from the outside, it doesn't always mean that they're healthy on the inside. There's a lot more to it, as Andrew said then. And just something I wanted to put out there as well. You know, you are what you eat. You are what you eat. That's one way to put it. But I think that's a bit of an understatement. You know, what you eat becomes a part of you, right? So, as I've mentioned before, you've got a ridiculous amount of bacteria living inside of you. You know, more than there are animal species on the planet. So it's very complex. And talking about studies and stuff, you know, there's a lot of really interesting studies which are coming out now on gut health and the effect that even artificial sweeteners have on your gut. You know, sucralose, for example, is one which we've all assumed is safe because, once again, they hadn't done any conclusive long-term studies. But sucralose, which I was having a stupid amount of because I was having so many protein shakes. So, by the way, folks, you'll find sucralose in most protein shakes, pre-workouts. You'll find anything which is low sugar, you know, or no sugar, sugar-free or whatever. You're going to have sucralose and probably some other nasty artificial sweeteners. Sucralose is 600 times sweeter than sugar. The studies that are coming out now are telling us that it does directly. They've done, by the way, they've done studies now on humans, right? And they've done 17,000 studies, right? That's not people, that's studies. I think it was in Argentina, most of the studies were done. And what they found is sucralose, which again, like I said, is being known as one of the safer sweeteners, actually completely alters the gut flora. And you know what? It doesn't even take long for it to destroy a lot of the good bacteria in the gut. Now, what that means is then your body is going to be crying out for sugar and these shitty foods. If you're having even something like sucralose on a regular basis. Now, that's not to mention refined sugar combined with the fat and all that kind of stuff, combined with the wrong fats like trans fats and stuff, which, you know, we get. Let's face it, the mix of sugar and fat together is the ultimate fix for us, right? Ice cream, cakes, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so there's a lot more to it, And, right? Because you've experienced some gut issues as well, right, And? Like myself.
Yes, I have, mate. I think, you know, I have issues with food every now and again. Gut issues. Also, I've had issues with binge eating, as you know, probably joined you on those weekends we've gone overboard, as we mentioned in previous podcasts, mate. Like the methods of flexible dieting, they sound pretty good from the offset. Like there's a method from Alan Aragon, I believe his name is, and the way he sets it out is that 70% of the diet is whole foods. 10% foods you wouldn't choose to eat but should because they're healthy. 10% questionable, being good, and 10% foods that are labelled as bad. So really, from the outset, it looks pretty good, right? But that is pretty much overcomplicated, complex, especially for those who are beginners. Mm-hmm. And even with the flexible diet, and like you say, people are guzzling down different sweeteners, sugars, non-optimal foods. And I guarantee you that that's going to have a huge effect on your gut. And I believe that everything starts in the gut. You know, I believe it has an effect on your psyche.
Absolutely.
How you're feeling.
Exactly.
You know, how you're looking. And ultimately, you know, long term, you got to look at someone who has good nourishment. It's going to help with your hair, your skin, your nails that you get from nutrients, fruit and vegetables. It's going to make you happier and make you feel healthier and empowered. If you're following this approach with junk food all day for the rest of your life, then you're definitely going to have issues. And for me, it's more of a psychological aspect than anything else.
Absolutely.
I know that if I eat these foods, I'm feeling well psychologically.
Yep.
And I'm not only because I'm not looking good through my body, but also my mental state isn't right. I know that, and I won't go back to that way.
There we go. And Andrew and I right now, it's been a long journey. But we're both very, very, without trying to blow our trumpets, we're in a very good place as far as being connected with how we feel when we eat certain foods. So I'll give you an example. Last weekend I had the worst, probably in over a year, the worst binge I've had in well over a year. And I am literally, it's a Wednesday evening now, this was on Saturday, I am still having gut issues. I'm bloated, I'm holding water, I'm 1.5 kilos heavier than what I normally am. Now, this is obviously because I don't do it very often, but I've been so in tune with how the aftermath of that binge that it scarred me a bit now because I felt so bad.
What do you think that was down to? Like, I think that the issue with flexible dieting is that there are certain that are reactive, right, and cause a binge. So if you are going into IIFYM, you've got to be aware of these foods and kind of cut those out of your diet. Otherwise, it's going to go. It's going to scale over, right?
That's exactly right, yeah. And just to say one good thing about IIFYM, if you've got certain goals, and say for example you're looking to, let's say, lose a bit of body fat and lean out, and you employ a coach who's big into flexible dieting, and they can prescribe you with calories, which essentially are going to mean that you're in a calorie deficit. Now that's what needs to take place for you to lose body fat and to get leaner. You need to be burning more calories than what you're eating. Now, what I've noticed, a lot of flexible dieting coaches, now there are some good ones out there. I've been following a few. There are some good ones out there who are really tuned into the nutrition side of it and really focus on their clients eating whole foods. But there are a lot of them out there who are just like, right, calories in, calories out, calorie deficit, and that's all that matters. And it's like, no. Like, that is not even the tip of the iceberg. We all know that it's overconsumption of calories which are playing a part in this obesity epidemic, so I agree with that. But again, there's a hell of a lot more to it, and the types of food people are eating are most likely the main cause. So these people are just saying, oh, okay, if you burn more calories than you're eating, you're going to lose body fat, and you can sustain that for a lifetime. And like I said earlier, I'd like to see the same people or these coaches doing the same thing with their clients 10 years from now. It's not going to happen. It's just the way the body works and the gut works as far as artificial foods go, and we're going to see for ourselves now, because all the studies are coming out now on gut health and how important it is to look after your gut. And as Andrew was saying then, it's going to have a direct effect on your psyche. 90 to 95% of the serotonin receptors, as I've said before, 90 to 95% of the serotonin receptors in the body are produced in the gut. So what does that tell you? Serotonin is very important for you to feel happy, for your libido, for your motivation, and for general wellness. It's a very, very important feel-good hormone. So what does that tell you, isn't it? But yeah, went off on a little bit of a tangent there. Did you have anything you wanted to...
But what you were saying about coaches, obviously there are good coaches who employ these rules. But again, you've got to feel that every client is different as a coach. So one approach may not work with someone else. So, flexible diet approach may work with someone who's young, who is new. But those who already have issues with food or issues with binge eating, and that's where problems may occur. And understandably, if you're a coach, you need to kind of create some rules to someone who's approaching flexible diet. And so these rules could include like eating lighter during the day, so you have bigger meals at nighttime, focusing on portion sizes, choosing foods that are going to fill you up, exercise more and increase your energy expenditure, and try and hit a vegetable intake with each meal. Although you are eating non-optimal foods, it's still important to get your veggies and your fibers up, to make you feel satiated and stop you from binge eating.
Definitely.
I think, again, with these guys on Instagram is that some of them may go light during the day and then they're saving their macros at night. Mm-hmm. Instead of putting macros into the system in the evening, it then turns into like an all-out binge where they're going for pizzas, burgers, alcohol, and again, that's really going to affect your health in the future. So just
absolutely. Yeah, and what I've been doing lately, Drew, is I've actually been, because I've been doing a bit of studying as far as I always tend to eat, because of my lifestyle. I always tend to eat quite soon before going to bed, because you know what it's like. You've got clients sometimes till 8 p.m. and whatnot. Back in at 5 a.m. You can't always get enough calories in, so then I'll find myself eating really late at night, and I think that was contributing a little bit to inflammation in my gut and digestion issues. So what I've been doing now is I've been eating in even a smaller window. So I'll eat, let's just say between about today I ate between about, I think it was 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. So like what's that, like a six hour window, and I think ideally 3 or 4 hours before bed you want to stop eating, because it's not ideal to be releasing ATP in your sleep. Apparently it can have a negative effect on your gut and all-round health if you're doing it all the time. So just these little tools really helpful. For example, what I was talking about then, eating in like a 6 hour window, it's a form of intermittent fasting. Now, Andrew and I have done a podcast on this before, so you may want to go and listen to that one. It's a really good one because it's completely changed the game for us. And I wanted to delve a bit deeper into your recent long fast. And how did you get on with that, mate? Mm-hmm. Tell the listeners about that shit, man.
I actually went for a 72-hour fast of 3 days.
Oh, you're still alive? You didn't die? Were you hungry?
I didn't die, mate. I didn't lose too much muscle.
So hang on, with it. Too much muscle. So you lost some muscle?
No, I'm joking. To be honest, I actually felt great. Like I felt like I could have pushed on. I stopped the fast around 68 hours. Not for any particular reason. It was just getting late and I wanted to eat. So next time I'll probably start it earlier in the day. So I think I started fasting I ended fasting at 9 p.m. at night. So I ended up on the Wednesday, I ended up having some bone broth just to break the fast, something light in the stomach.
That's really good for you, that stuff, isn't it? Collagen and all sorts, isn't it?
And then after that, I just had a meal. I had a steak, basically. I had just a high-fat meal. About an hour later, steak, eggs, lots of veggies, avocados, etc. Didn't go overboard. But during the time of fasting, I think the hardest part for me was the final morning on the third day. But luckily I was busy, so I find that if I'm busy with clients, and fasting is a little bit easier. I think if you're sat around all day, then you're going to have that notion to eat.
How did you feel, mate? You said you didn't feel great on the third morning. Explain how you felt.
I wasn't feeling terrible. Like I just felt that hunger, you know. But again, I fast regularly, so I wouldn't encourage anyone who's listening in to go into a 3-day fast if they haven't fasted at all. Just build it up slowly. So maybe start with 8 hours, go to 16 hours, and a full day. Then you can go for a 2-day one, and then if you feel you want to take it to the next level, you can do a 3-day fast. In the case for me was that I was having those gut issues, so I didn't want to eat food. I just wanted to let my gut settle, and it also kills off some bad cells, right? It's known to kill off cancer cells, etc. So
it's incredible what it does, isn't
it? Autophagy, right?
Yeah, autophagy, yeah. But yeah, I was going to say about fasting and like how you can use it as a tool, and for people just I can't express how much it teaches you as far as we're not hungry. We don't know what it's like. I mean, Andrew's just been to Africa, right? There's people out there who are hungry. We really don't know in westernized countries, for the most part.
We're not starving in
we're
these
not
countries,
starving. Definitely not. And even hunger. I mean, like we don't really know what it's like to be really hungry. As I mentioned before, our brains have been hijacked in a sense, and just like Sal said on the other podcast. Just going back to sweeteners and artificial foods, and when you're having any kind of shitty foods, even on a weekly basis, it is gonna completely change and have a detrimental effect on your relationship with food, for sure. So you're going to be eating out of habit and not necessarily when you need to. So that's what fasting has taught me.
100%, mate. Like it's these foods are palatable for a reason. Like they've been made for us to enjoy, and they are in abundance. So I guess that's where the issue comes in with over-consuming. We're doing a lot less movement, a lot less sleep, more stress than we ever have before. Even since the 80s, we're known to have like 2.5, 3 hours less sleep a night, and that's just affecting our satiety and our hormone levels. So we end up overeating and over-consuming all the time.
What's interesting as well is, sorry to interrupt, is the testosterone levels in men have dropped by, they've done studies, and it's dropped by something like 66% or something in the last 30 years, which is astronomical, really. So, I mean, I know there's going to be numerous factors which contribute to that, but it's going to be mainly environmental. So I think what you put in your body is going to have just like Andrew said, it's going to have not just a small effect, it's going to have a huge effect on your hormones. I mean, let's talk about like sex hormones, for example. There's like 50 different types of hormones which the endocrine system produces alone. 50 different types of sex hormones alone, right? And that's just one type of hormone, So it just goes to show. But yeah, I just wanted to do you have anything you wanted to to chime in with me in terms of the IIFYM stuff? Just if you were talking to, like, you have a lot of clients, to like the average gym goer, because it's a very tough battle trying to educate people and give people sustainable health long term when it comes to making the right choices with food. Is there any tips you have for the listeners, bro?
I've got plenty, but like, let's just say, flexible dieting can be a good approach. It kind of enables the clients to have a plan B, right? If they're a rigid plan, black and white plan, and they go off that and then they feel guilty, I guess flexible dieting gives them a different approach in accordance to that. So also you can be more sociable with your diet. You don't get anxious, like you can enjoy and build relationships with friends. So that's where this approach may be a better option for you. I was been in the past where you've been super rigid, you haven't been able to go out with friends, you haven't been able to go enjoy food with family, and that kind of causes stress within that kind of relationship with your family and them, right? So it's actually an unhealthy way to go, right?
It is, that's right. And you're brainwashed at the time, man. I remember you saying you think you're being healthy, don't you? You're being the absolute opposite.
You are. If you have negative relationships in your household or out with your friends, right, that's going to be the extreme opposite of what optimal health is, right?
Definitely.
But just understand that like health is much more than aesthetics and body composition and how you look. Ultimately, you've got to look for long-term health and long-term goals.
Definitely. Let's talk about how you look, Anne, right? Because like you're in shape all year round, and you're not just in shape, man. You're in really good shape all year round, and that is as a result of obviously all these years of educating yourself and training and whatnot. But it's from putting health a priority. Am I right?
Yeah, definitely. Over the last year or two. It's been from actually listening to podcasts like this one, those who are preaching the right message. Like, I've listened to generally the guys from Mind Pump. Me and Martin have been on the show ourselves, luckily enough. And those guys kind of changed my life. Like, I was kind of spiraling in the wrong direction when it came to health and fitness, dishing out wrong information to clients and family members as well. Since I've started listening in and educating myself a little more and trying different things, I'm actually, I'm finding it easier to stay in shape. I'm feeling better. My sleep has improved. Libido has improved. The foods I eat are varied, not so restrictive. I'm not just sticking to 5-6 meals of the same food every day. And I'm actually staying leaner from that. It's just changing your mindset and focusing on health first, making it a priority. Definitely. And then gradually everything else will fall into place.
Absolutely, yeah. And, it's like Rome wasn't built in a day. It's another thing I say all the time. But what's it called? I mean, Andrew and I can help you out with this anyway, because we know how tough it is to get to the place that we're at now. And, but it can be done if you just make the simple choices and be a bit consistent with it. And I just wanted to track back a bit because I'm making out I'm like some sort of god when it comes to eating healthy all the time and slating IIFYM. But as I said, it is a great starting place. But I don't agree with the message that's being conveyed, and also it's like I still slip from time to time. Like I said, I had the worst binge I'd had in a long time on the weekend. Now I used to do that 3 times a week. Now it's once every year. You know what I mean? So it goes to show how far I've come over the years. And that is a massive thank you to Mind Pump, because Andrew introduced me to them. Started listening to their podcast. My paradigm was shattered. As you said, I was giving out advice to people, poor advice, diet plans and whatnot. And obviously, you teach people based on what you've learned on your journey. And it's been so transformative and just groundbreaking for me, because now I am tuned in with just eating healthy foods most of the time. Let's just say 85% of the time I eat healthy foods. On the weekends I'll buy, for example, I'll always try and have nutrients, even if I do overeat, which is at least once a week. I say overeat. For me and Andrew, we know how important it is to undulate your calories, justifying it, and So you can
justifying a binge.
Exactly. So like once a week or maybe twice a week, I'll have more calories than what I need, and that'll normally be on the weekend. So I can fit into my lifestyle, but I still go overboard. So I'll buy a bar of dark chocolate. Instead of having a few chunks, I'll eat the whole thing, and then I'll combine that with other foods as well. Some almond butter and some coconut yogurt, and I'm packing in like 2,000 calories in within the space of about 10 minutes. Although I'm getting nutrients, it's still way too many calories of the same types of food. So I know it's not ideal. So it's still work in progress, Ryan.
Of course, mate. It's but I think the biggest game changer for me was like the holiday season this year. Like my approach to the holiday season, like Thanksgiving and Christmas in the past, I've approached it as an excuse to like go all out and eat as much as I can. But this time, like I did not overconsume, which was a big game changer for me. I actually texted Mind Pump Sal, and I told him about this. Like he's made a huge change in my life because I've now realised that I don't have to eat until I'm just feeling sick. But vomit on my mouth. I just ate till I was satisfied. I enjoyed the foods. Enjoyed some cake, enjoyed some great Christmas dinner, but then I wasn't to the point where my stomach was like extended and pushing out, and I felt like I was dying. I needed a nap, so that was a big game changer for me. Like I'm not perfect. I'm not going to say that. There's times where I'm going to overdo it and binge, but then I know what to do the next day or the day after to combat this. So I'm not going to go into crazy workouts and restrict myself too much on the next couple of days. So there's a big game changer for me.
Definitely.
So keep listening to these type of podcasts, keep learning. It's a process. Doesn't happen overnight, and me and Martin ourselves are still learning, still trying to apply this knowledge that we're picking up every day. So
definitely, and I think we're probably just going to stick to this one topic today and just talk nutrition. Really, we were going to talk about the best way to train for maximum results in terms of building muscle, but save that for another podcast. And talking about unhealthy relationships with food. So Andrew and I I guarantee we've gone harder than each and every one of you out there when it comes to binge eating. Let me tell you now, as I mentioned, I think we briefly discussed the amount of food we ate after one of my shows.
Disgusting. It was fun, but disgusting.
Exactly, mate. I just had a reminder then when you mentioned about bloated and stuff. I just remembered after we had like this buffet. Bear in mind, this is after I've been binge eating for the best part of a day, really.
24 hours.
Exactly, and then having a buffet, and I actually thought like it was the end of I thought my number was up. Seriously, I couldn't stand.
Then we had a pizza after that, right?
I wasn't going to tell him about that, but yeah, we did.
And ice cream.
Exactly, and then after that we ended up going out, I think drinking some alcohol and stuff, and then having a Domino's pizza large to ourselves, and not just a bit of Ben & Jerry's, a tub each, just to put the ice on the cake. No pun intended.
So definitely we've had issues in the past, but I guess we can use those experiences to help you guys now. So
definitely.
I guess that's how flexible dieting, right? I think the problem is that people use it as an excuse to eat bad food and make poor choices.
Definitely.
Like ultimately, you want to allow flexibility occasionally, like you did. You do on the weekends. We have dark chocolate or some foods that maybe.
Hey, and you don't point the finger at me. Help me out here, bro. Please tell me you do as well.
Hey, always, mate. But like allow flexibility occasionally and guilt free, right? Yeah. I think that's the issue we have. We eat this, we feel guilty, then we may eat more because we feel guilty, and it's a never-ending spiral. And so, if you are having problems with binge eating, we have issues with food already, then flexible dieting may not be the approach for you. That's all I'm saying. So
exactly, and let's just quickly before we end this episode, I wanted to talk about micronutrients, because Andrew mentioned earlier about how important vegetables are, and a simple, easy starting point. Which, by the way, folks, so I've got a couple of online clients now. I'm building up the online stuff slowly, and as Andrew said earlier, I do put like rules in place. So I make sure they're going to get plenty of vegetables in, and for example, have, let's say, 2 servings of vegetables. So I'm talking like 2 plates full of a variety of different vegetables each day. Now, obviously, I still got to stay tuned into how they feel doing that, because a lot of people do have intolerances to certain types of plants and stuff. So even though vegetables good, you've still got to pay attention to how you feel and stuff when you're eating certain types. But micronutrients, so IIFYM, so if it fits your macros, which is what we've been talking about for the last half hour, it's all about macronutrients and calories, right? So don't get me wrong, like I said, there's some people out there who do still focus on getting the micronutrients in. Now, micronutrients is what you're going to find in abundance in vegetables, and certain types of fruit and stuff, and whole foods. So you have to make sure you include these nutrients, right? So, different types of vitamins, magnesium, potassium, all these things really, really important for to keep you alive, really important, and for long-term sustainable health. And Andrew and I that's one of the big rocks for us, really, as far as success goes when staying in shape and feeling good is eating plenty of vegetables. So micronutrients are really important, right?
Yes, and that goes down to like listening to your body's signals as well, right? If you're eating a lot of veggies, getting those micronutrients in, you're going to look a lot better as well. Pay attention to body signals. So if you're having bad skin, you're having issues with digestion, issues with bloating, that may come down to the food choices you're making. So we're not saying that you have to eat an abundance of vegetables to start off, but why not add it into your normal diet? Like Martin said, maybe a couple of portions of veggies build from there. And just see how that makes you feel. Like you don't necessarily have to restrict anything from your diet to start off. When you're starting off on this journey, just add in vegetables, start drinking some more water, and see what nourishment that gives you in terms of your skin, in terms of your energy, in terms of how you look and how you feel, and then build upon that from there.
Absolutely. And just to summarise this now, so there's going to be a lot of you out there who have a relatively poor diet. And I'm not trying to be condescending, but a lot of us, what I find is with clients I take on, and a few of my clients, they're quite self-disciplined, and they'll start tracking their calories. So as I said, if it fits your macros, all about tracking and stuff like that. So I wanted to say that tracking is not just a small part of your success. I think it's actually essential as a starting point to know what's going into your body and learn about, for example, hidden sugars in foods and how much sugar you're consuming. Because countless times I've had people on the first session of the consultation, they'll say they actually believe they're eating really healthy, and they're really overeating sugar, a lot of the time under-eating protein, not getting anywhere near enough fibre, or at least the right types of fibre in, not getting enough healthy fats in, but they're not actually aware of this. So tracking your calories is really important to make you self-aware, to make you mindful of what's actually going into your body. And I can guarantee you, most people are probably overeating sugar without realising it. A lot of you might actually be aware of, you might be listening to this podcast and saying, do you know what, actually I've got a shit diet, I'll hold my hands up, I need help, Me and Andrew can help you with that, so feel free to drop me a line on Instagram, or drop us an email. But just to summarise, just do the simple things like Andrew said. Drink enough water to start with, try and increase your vegetable intake, and without going too much into detail, just start tracking. Download the app MyFitnessPal and start tracking your calories, and be quite meticulous with it. So try and be strict and put most things in there so you know where you are. And drop me a direct message on Instagram. I think most of you follow me on there. It's at Martin Silva Fitness. You can go and check out my website and contact me through there as well. It's www.martin-silva.co.uk. You can go and drop me a message on there as well if you need help. But and anything you have to summarise, mate, it'd be great.
I think that's pretty much it. Like I said earlier, you want to just focus on health, not just on body composition. Listen to your body signals. If you're getting ill signals from your gut, from how you're looking, that may be a time to change and take a different approach to the food you're eating. Set yourself ground rules, okay? Eat adequate amount of vegetables. So even if you add them to your diet, you're taking a flexible approach right now. Just add veggies to a couple of meals, so you're getting some fibre into you, getting some micronutrients into you. Eat slowly as well.
Let me cut off. So just to go into that, vegetables. Give the listeners an idea of what type of vegetables you eat regular.
Regularly, I eat. These are vegetables that agree with me. Okay, so I'm not saying vegetables are good, but they may not agree with you. It's dependent on the person, but generally I would eat a lot of spinach, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, peppers, zucchini, carrots, cauliflower. I just try and keep it varied. I try and add variety, obviously variety and lots of colour in there as well.
Great.
So I try and take an approach I will with my meats and carb sources and fats. I try and take an approach where I vary them every day. And I cycle them in, which is the better option for your body and for your really,
Cool. You were saying about fats then, before I interrupted you were saying increase the healthy fats.
Yeah, for me this is a good approach because I feel that if I eat carbohydrates, I'm not saying I don't, and there's no problem eating carbohydrates if you're looking to keep yourself in shape. Some people can stay lean on a huge amount of carbohydrates, no issues with that. But for me, it's just about being satiated and feeling full. So if I fill my plate with a good adequate amount of protein, some healthy fats, and then a lot of veggies, I'm going to feel full. I'm going to feel satisfied. So I'm less likely to overconsume elsewhere, and I can stay in a lean, ascetic shape, right?
Awesome.
Eat slowly with your meals as well, and let your satiety hormones kick in, so you don't overconsume and you don't go on a binge.
Great stuff.
Okay.
Great stuff. Superb, mate. Thanks a lot, man. It was great to have you back on board.
Yes, sir.
Andrew and I are going to do another one next week on. I was thinking of one of the topics to be based on like dysmorphia and body image issues, because Andrew and I again have battled with this a lot, and we still do. Well, I still do anyway. It's nowhere near.
Yeah, I do as well, man.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nowhere near to the level it was, but that I think that's something that's always going to be ingrained into you. But it's just the psychological aspect, and coming through it, getting through it is. I say getting through it. What I mean is coming out of it is actually it's great because, as I said, because we're so focused on health now and eating the right foods and in tune with how our gut feels, energy levels, libido, all these things. The physique just comes as a side effect. So yeah, that's something we want. That's going to be a topic on the next podcast. And we'll probably talk about different the best way to train in terms of building muscle and building healthy metabolism and whatnot. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, nice one, Anne. Thanks for chipping in, mate.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, guys and girls, if you can go over to iTunes, it'd be massively appreciated. I'm really trying to grow this podcast now, so if you could give me a rating and review, that would be great. And yeah, if you like I said, if you want to inquire about online training, Andrew and I can help you. So just drop me an email. Like I said, you can message me from my website or just go onto my Instagram at Martin Silva Fitness and drop me a direct message anytime. Thanks a lot, Andrew.
No problem, man.
Speak to you soon, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.